What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about XCN, OnyxCoin today. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, okay? We've got some stuff that I want to talk about, and it's not that exciting, okay? Prepare yourselves. We probably will go below our most recent low, okay? That's my expectation, and I'm going to give you a reason as to why. We're going to go over a chart that we don't normally go over, okay? It looks very similar to the USD chart. And I'm not selling any of my XCN, man. Even though I'm somewhat convinced now, more than I have been over the past few days, that we will go below this low on the USD pair. It does not have to happen, okay? And here's a prime example of why it does not have to happen before we get into the other stuff. XCN is down about 3.3% right now. Bitcoin is down about 3.2% right now. So, you know, I'm not saying that it's necessary or it's an inevitability that if Bitcoin drops 10% that XCN has to drop more than it, right? I'm not saying that. It definitely can hold up versus Bitcoin. We can see that happen. In fact, the XCN BTC pair on the weekly is up 4%, which means that you've actually handled this week better than Bitcoin has in itself. So as long as we continue to handle ourselves better than Bitcoin, we can absolve ourselves of going below my newfound bearishness, below this low here. I do think we're going to see prices at 0.0095 to 0.0085, something like that, before finally bottoming out and continuing, right? This time we're a little bit ahead of schedule on this low. We're not going to wait for it to break before calling it, right? I suppose we did the same thing last time too, but tomato, who cares anyways? If we're looking at the weekly, let's get to the juice here, okay? So XCN BTC. If we look at this from a low to a high, we are just above the 382. And you guys know how I am whenever it comes with any kind of 236, 382 interaction, right? If you interact with the 236 like this, if you find resistance at this, you likely don't find your low until you hit the 382. And you've gotten very close. You've gotten very, very close to hitting your 382, but you haven't done it yet. You did find support at prior areas of resistance. You don't have to hit your 382, but 90% of the time in a situation like this, you do. It happens, okay? So what would that mean for the XCN BTC pair? Well, if it did, maybe it happens today, maybe it happens tomorrow, maybe it takes a month, I don't know. But if it did go down there, that would mean that XCN will lose 20% of its value versus Bitcoin. Okay, now that doesn't mean that XCN has to drop and Bitcoin have to drop. Bitcoin could pump and XCN stays chill. You know, that could cause this chart to go down. This doesn't necessarily implicate that the US dollar pair has to go down, but if we look at this, it looks eerily similar to the US dollar pair, right? It looks very, very, of course it does, right? Likely, if it goes down, the US dollar pair will go down. Likely, whenever you lose value versus Bitcoin, what happens is sometimes Bitcoin does pump, but oftentimes what happens is Bitcoin's dropping, you're just dropping more, okay? 20% down versus Bitcoin to hit this 382, which I'm very confident you do hit this, just based off of my knowledge and interaction and experience with fibs. Going to this daily closing high, going to your 382, it's the next sensible area to go to. It's not guaranteed. It's not 100% guaranteed. Anything can happen. This could have been the low, and if it is, I'll be ecstatic, man. I'll be absolutely ecstatic. But we're at 1.3 cents now. Bitcoin is at about 81K. I'm assuming that from Bitcoin's current price, we will see something of about $72,500, which is about a 10% dump from here. If Bitcoin drops 10%, XCN loses 20% of its value versus Bitcoin. I would assume that XCN would drop about 30% from its current price. A 30% drop from here, you guys, would take us all the way down to about 0.009 cents, $0.009, 0.9 cents, right? From a low to a high, that puts us right at the 1414 extension. Oftentimes you do wick through the 1414, but you don't have to find support right there. You could find support a little bit above. You could find support right at the 1414. There is like a 40% chance that you tip it. Oftentimes, like 60% of the time, you do go through it, but this correlation does give me reason to believe that you could find support right at 0.009 cents, okay? Beware, you guys, and not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but do not mess this up now, right? If you've endured this whole drop, do not get the bright idea to sell here for this little drop that's coming. The pump is still coming. It's inevitable. It is coming, and I very well could be wrong. I wasn't expecting to make this video today. I thought we were going to talk about some upside and how we were going to double bottom, find a higher low, and move up from there. But looking at the BTC chart, because I've been doing that a lot with a lot of different cryptos, I can't help but think we are going to go lower. You look at the daily RSI, and you did bounce right off the oversold zone, and you got right back above the 40, and that's nice, but you're not doing anything with it, right? You're not doing anything with it at all. You still have lower highs, you still have lower lows. I'm not completely convinced that you're absolved of going lower. In fact, this might need to interact with the oversold zone before we go higher, and that kind of interaction could bring a 20% drop. I'm just saying. If we look at and this is the BTC pair. I know it looks a lot like the USD pair, so I got to be specific here, but this is the BTC pair. If we're looking at the 4-hour RSI, you're rejecting the 60, kind of like the USD price. Not really a whole lot to go off of here. To be fair, the 4-hour looks a little bit bullish, but I will say, if you're finding support on the 50 like this and you're not doing anything with it, you're only going to get so many chances before you break through. You know what I mean? You got to do something with it. It's like here, you bounced off the 50, you did it a couple times, even a third time, but you did nothing with it, so you went down. You know what I mean? If you're finding resistance on this level, you had one chance, two chances, and then after the third time, boom, you went down, right? You did see some progression afterwards. Here you were finding support time and time again, but you did nothing with it, so you went lower. Here you found support, you did something with it, so you held. You did something with it again, so you went higher. You see what I mean? Here you didn't do anything with it, so you went lower. It's not an exact science, but that's kind of how I interpret the RSI there, right? So you likely will go lower if you don't do something rather immediately. It's not that it's all over. It's not that hope is abandoned for XCN to hold this low. And by the way, even if it doesn't hold this low, you guys, it's really not that big of a deal. We've been through the most of it already. This is, if anything, for anybody, I know I've seen a lot of comments of people saying, if this can hold out for my next paycheck, if we can hold out for the pump by my next paycheck, which I'm assuming a lot of you are getting that paycheck either this week or your tax returns, stuff like that. I know that people are coming into some cash here in a short amount of time. Hopefully this is an opportunity for those people to buy more, right? I'm done buying XCN. I've bought enough. I've had my fill. I don't have extra capital on the side. I mean, actually, I probably won't have extra capital by the time this comes down. Yeah. It's going to be later in the month that I think I'll have some money freed up, so probably not by then. So I'm done buying it. I've had my fill. It's not that I'm done buying it because I'm bearish on it. I mean, hell, if it drops lower than what I'm expecting it to drop, then maybe I'll just have to go take out a loan. I don't know, and that's just a joke. That's just a joke. I would never do something like that ever. That's bad practice, anyways. But no, seriously, guys, that'd be very appetizing if it did drop. If it dropped any lower than that. But getting back to work here, not getting too distracted. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, I'm not completely convinced by the 4-hour that we have to move down. So this is actually kind of a saving grace, hopefully. If we look at the high to low here. We are finding turbulence above the 382 and around the 0.5. This is actually a more bullish posturing than it is a bearish posturing in the fibs, and likely would lead us to go to the golden ratio. And it's just the only thing holding me back from saying that that's going to happen is the fact that the overall weekly time frame here, you are just shy of finding support at this 382, and that can happen. That's not impossible. I've seen it happen plenty of times, not with XCN, but with other cryptos and other stocks, right? It can happen. It's just not likely to happen. So I'm going with the likelihood, right? I don't care what I want to see. I care what I am seeing. What I am seeing is that likely we have to go down first, but the 4-hour combats that a little bit, okay? The 1-hour time frame, maybe if you don't like the word combat, I could say contradicts that a little bit. The 1-hour time frame here, also looking more bullishly postured than bearishly postured. If I'm being honest, it actually looks pretty good. So the shorter term time frames look good. The longer term time frames, the daily and the weekly, aren't looking so good right now. The daily on the RSI and the weekly here likely, come on now, why does it keep doing that? What weekly likely does go down a little bit lower, maybe down to this low, maybe down to the 50, something like that. And the weekly time frame, I shouldn't even say it looks bad. It does look good overall. It's just, you could go down lower and it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't impact this price negatively. And it doesn't look like you respect the 50 so much. You do respect the area that's just above the 50 more so, right? Resistance there, support back here, a little bit of resistance just above. So you could find support at any given moment. But with this notion that XCN could drop 20% versus Bitcoin drops 10% in itself, XCN USD might drop anywhere from like 20 to 30% more. And that would imply at least an interaction that is slightly below this low, if not at most something that is at about 0.009. On the bright side, 0.009 likely holds. Even if we go lower, we could go to 0.0084. If I'm interpreting this wrong, if we drop more than 20% versus Bitcoin, or Bitcoin drops more than I'm anticipating, that would allow for XCN to drop lower. Of course, There's another thought that could happen, okay? Maybe Bitcoin drops and maybe XCN drops, but it doesn't see a lower low. Maybe it does find a higher low. Maybe I should have stuck with this prediction all along that it won't go below this low. And what happens is here, though the XCN pair on the XCN USD pair, OnyxCoin's USD pair has bottomed out, maybe what OnyxCoin does is it moves sideways for a little bit, or it kind of moves up, but not as ferocious. And Bitcoin from its low, maybe it has a very immaculate bounce. If Bitcoin pumps harder out of its low than XCN does out of its low, then the BTC XCN pair will continue to drop. So again, a 20% drop versus Bitcoin, if it were to be as straight as it can be, as simple as it can be, then sure, we might see a 30% drop with XCN if I'm expecting a 10% drop to happen with Bitcoin or more. That would make sense on the USD pair. But if we find resolution before XCN gets below this low, if Bitcoin finds resolution in itself before XCN gets below this low, and then it just pumps harder than XCN, which is a possibility, not forever, obviously, but just for a day or two, that could give us that final push down to this 382 target. Where is it? Come on now. Did I just not... I must have deleted it and gone back. Okay, well, this is annoying. 382 target right here. It could take us there, right? You don't have to move down versus the US dollar pair to move all the way down here. But I don't think XCN versus Bitcoin, and therefore XCN itself, is in any position to pump dramatically until we hit this 382. I don't care what it takes. Maybe Bitcoin has to pump here, XCN has to chill, and that's what brings the XCN BTC pair down. I don't care if that's what it takes. Likely that's not what happens. Likely XCN US dollar does drop harder than Bitcoin. That's oftentimes when you see the USD or the crypto versus Bitcoin pair drop, is whenever that scenario happens. But however it happens, we're not looking to pump until this happens, okay? That's my expectation. The 4-hour time frame and the 1-hour time frame are a little bit bullish, which gives me a little bit of hope. But it's hope at this point. It's not conviction, right? I am convinced that Bitcoin drops lower, and by that definition, I'm convinced that XCN drops lower. How much lower will it be? That's the question. I am putting targets on the table right now, you guys, for targets below this low, in case it's not abundantly clear. From a low to a high here, that would put us anywhere, again, based off the fibs, somewhere between 0.009525 to 0.008434, likely right in the middle there at the 1414 is where we're going to go. I'm not selling a single cent. I'm not selling a single XCN at all. I'm not playing this game with you, XCN. I know what you're going to give me. Why would I play the game, right? It's like, I feel like I'm watching Squid Games 2. Just one more. Just one more. I could sell here and then just buy back in. Just one more. That's all I want. Just one more game. No, I'm not going to play that game. It's like Russian roulette, man. You never know when that just one more dip doesn't happen and you rip. At any moment, we could rip, you guys. We could really rip. So I'm not playing the game. All I have to do is endure this. All I have to do is endure this little like pipsqueak drop. And it's not such a pipsqueak drop. It's 30%. Nobody wants to deal with that. But if you just sleep on it, you don't look at it, you don't worry about it, right? And you trust the process. This is what you should be worried about, right? You shouldn't be worried about selling here and capitalizing the maximum potential that you could have for this next move. I mean, that's always nice. It's good to be that, but don't be greedy, okay? Don't be worried about this move. Be worried about missing that move, okay? Be worried about it, because that is very realistically, at least up to here, up to this area, is likely where we're going to go when everything is all said and done, okay? I hope you guys have a good day. Hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I did not expect to make a bearish XCN video today, but I got to call a spade, man. The daily RSI is looking decent, bouncing off the oversold zone here, but you can go back down. You can form a double bottom and still promote lower prices than this and still be in a good posture to go higher. The 4-hour RSI is starting to turn down. We rejected the 60 area a couple times over here. Like throughout this whole downtrend, we've been rejecting the same area, and now we're below the 50. The only saving grace is the short-term time frames on the XCN BTC pair, which to me are much more obscure. They don't really hold as much significance as the daily, the 3-day, the weekly, and the USD pairs do. So I'm not counting on that to hold. There's reasons to hope, but don't hold your breath over it, okay? I hope it makes sense. I hope it's all received very clearly and understandable, okay? Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves, and hopefully this drop just happens, man. Hopefully we rip it off like a Band-Aid. We get done with it and we can start moving up sooner than later, because I'm ready. I'm ready for this thing to move up, but who cares if I'm ready? Who cares if you're ready? XCN's going to do what it wants to do. All we can do is batten down the hatches and prepare, okay? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but do not sell. Please do not sell. Do not sell. This is not, you do not want to sell the lows. We're at the lows. Make no mistake. But 30% down is the lows, C-Zar. You were just saying that. Yes, yes, yes. But this is the lows, you guys. Okay, it's not worth haggling. It's not worth negotiating any terms right now at any moment. And by the way, as crazy as it is, I should have ended the video with this actually. As crazy as it is, you guys, I know that this might sound weird. I don't want to I'm not joking. I'm being serious. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. We don't have to go below that low. And if you're selling because you think that some random guy on YouTube is saying that the price is going to go to 30% and now the price has to go down 30%, and you're counting on that with your life savings or money that matters, you're doing it wrong. If this is money that matters to you, treat it like money that matters to you. Treat it like an investment. Don't treat it or trade it like paper in the wind. Okay, there's a reason we call people like that paper hands. Investors, people who make money with ease, have to go through emotional torment sometimes or dissatisfaction. You don't even have to do that to yourself. I'm not scared at all. It's disheartening. You're expecting it to move up. You're expecting the low to be in time and time again. Of course it is, but I don't care. Go lower. Just rip it off. Rip it off like a Band-Aid. Make it happen today. By the time most of you watch this, I want this thing to just dump. That way we're done with it. And then we can really start talking about higher prices. I'm of the absolute most confidence that if this is not the low, the next low will be the low. It's going to happen, and then afterwards, all we're looking for is a price to break above 1.9 cents. Once that happens, it's time to go. Once the XCN BTC pair hits its 382, it's time to go, okay? But we just haven't done either of those things yet. So until then, momentarily bearish. C-Zar the Bear is in full effect, baby. That's why I'm wearing the red shirt today. No, that's just a coincidence. Anyways, hit the like button. It's not really even red. It's kind of like maroon. I don't know. Subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next one. Velvet, what color? Leave in the comments what color you think this shirt is. Give me a proper. I'm not a color aficionado. I'm more of a chart monkey type. All right, take care. Bye.